The Yellow Stork. A Chinese fairy tale. They say that once upon a time, in the Middle Kingdom of old, there lived a poor wandering performer. He earned his bread by playing the reed flute, by singing, and by painting bright murals upon whitewashed walls. Often he had not a single coin in his sleeve, yet he always laughed, and wherever he went he brought cheerfulness with him. One day his road led him to a city over which sorrow lay like a grey mist. Every day, at the busiest hour, a splendid retinue would appear on the market street, carrying the ruler, a mandarin, high on a silk-draped litter. The mandarin would slowly look over the wares upon the stalls, and whatever pleased his eye, his guards would seize without paying a single copper. The people sighed and kept their heads bowed. They had no reason to be merry. However hard they worked, they could never rise from poverty. The mandarin's palace was already stuffed with costly and beautiful things, yet his greed was never satisfied. As soon as the street performer passed through the city gate, he felt with his heart that this was a very unhappy place indeed. He took out his slender reed flute and began to play. The flute danced between his fingers, and its clear sound ran like a fresh breeze through the narrow streets. The people of the city felt their sadness grow lighter and a little hope awaken in their breasts. Before they knew it, their feet began to tap, and then they too were dancing and laughing. The townsfolk were deeply grateful to the wandering performer. Poor as they were, each one gave him a coin from their meager store, and the owner of the tea house fed him without payment and offered him a place to sleep. In the morning, as they were parting, the owner said sadly, "You brought joy to our city. What a pity it was so short-lived." "Thank you for your kind welcome," replied the artist. "You have paid for everything I drank and ate here. Thank you. And thanks to the people of the city who gave me from their very last. I do not wish to be ungrateful." With these words, the artist drew from his sleeve a piece of yellow chalk, and upon the white wall of the tea house he drew the figure of a yellow stork. "Whenever people gather in your tea house, clap your hands," said the artist. "Then the stork will step down from the wall and begin to dance. But remember, it will never dance for just one person. Do not force it to do that. Now, farewell." So saying, the artist turned and went his way. The owner marveled greatly, but decided to try. The next day, when people filled the tea house, he clapped his hands. At once, the yellow stork fluttered down from the wall and danced many merry dances. It was so comical and graceful that the guests shouted with delight. When the dance was over, the stork flew back to its place and became a painted picture once more. Soon the tale of this marvel spread throughout the land. People streamed into the city, merchants, travelers, and all manner of curious folk. Crowds thronged the tea house from morning till night, and the once poor city grew rich. Of course, word of the dancing stork reached the mandarin's palace. The mandarin was furious. "How can this be?" he cried. "Such a wonder must belong to me alone." He ordered his litter to be brought and went in great state to the tea house. When he entered, he saw ordinary townspeople sitting at the tables. The mandarin grew even more enraged and commanded that they all be driven out. Servants rushed in with sticks. The guests scattered, and in a moment the mandarin was left alone. He laid a pile of silver and gold before the owner and demanded that he show him how the stork danced. The owner clapped his hands, but the yellow stork did not stir. It remained as still as any other picture upon the wall. "Make it dance, at once," shouted the mandarin. "Why is it not dancing?" "Oh, great mandarin," replied the tea-house owner, bowing low. "It will not dance for just one person. All my visitors have gone away out of respect for you." The mandarin raged and threatened, but it was all in vain. Then he gave another command. "Paint over that stork. If it will not dance for me, it shall not dance for anyone else." The mandarin returned to his palace, and his servants brought a bucket of black paint. They covered the yellow stork with many thick, dark layers until nothing of it could be seen. The owner sighed bitterly. "Happiness has left my house," he said. The great black patch upon the white plaster weighed on his heart like a misfortune. The tea-house stood empty that day, but in the morning, when the owner entered the common room, he cried out with joy. During the night, the black paint had cracked and fallen away, and the stork shone on the wall an even brighter yellow than before. People hurried to see the miracle. The owner clapped his hands, and the stork, as though nothing had happened, leapt lightly from the wall and began to dance. Once again, laughter rang out in the tea-house. When news of this reached the mandarin, he was beside himself with anger. "He shall dance for me sooner or later," he shouted. "Cut the picture out of the wall and bring it to my palace." The servants did as they were ordered. They cut out a great block of plaster with the painted stork upon it and set it opposite the mandarin's carved chair in the great hall. "Dance," commanded the mandarin. "Dance, and I will give you something delicious." The servants brought a tray piled with rare and costly delicacies, but the stork remained unmoving and silent on the plaster. "So that is how it is," cried the mandarin. "Then I shall punish you. Give him 100 strokes." The servants began to beat the painting with bamboo sticks, but it was like beating stone. Nothing happened. Then, at the mandarin's command, the stork was painted over once more. Yet in the morning it reappeared, every feather bright and clear. Day after day passed in this way. The mandarin fumed and thundered, but nothing helped. He could not force the stork to dance for him, nor could he destroy the picture. "Well, at least," he comforted himself at last, "if it will not dance for me, it will not dance for anyone else either." One night, long after the city had fallen asleep, there came a gentle knock at the tea-house door. The owner opened it and saw the wondering performer standing on the threshold. The performer took his reed flute from his sleeve and began to play. The melody, tender and clear, flowed through the narrow streets and over the rooftops until it reached the mandarin's palace. At that very moment, the yellow stork in the great hall trembled, shook off the paint, sprang from the wall, and flew out through the high window. It circled above the roofs of the city and then came to rest softly at the artist's feet. "Joy should not belong to one man alone," said the performer, stroking the stork's bright feathers. "A wonder like you is for everyone. Fly now, gladden hearts and warm them. You are free." The yellow stork never returned to the wall. It flies about the wide world, sometimes seen, sometimes unseen, appearing wherever it is most needed. and people do not understand why in a moment of sorrow and despair, their hearts suddenly grow lighter, the world around them seems bathed in a warm golden glow, and they feel once more the wish to live on. And sometimes, for no reason they can name, they suddenly feel like laughing and dancing.